chromatic scale. Starting on low E, going to E, and then moving up. You got 20 notes at your disposal. This is bass case 036, back end of the neck, part 1. 20 notes at your disposal at the back end of the neck, by your finger by the nut on electric bass. That's a lot of notes. That's almost 2 octaves worth of notes. I mean, you can almost construct a bass with 4 frets and an open string. I'm sure somebody has, right? That's back end of the neck, first finger by the nut, or half position for you double bass enthusiasts. Sometimes they call first position for electric bass. A bass instructor that I had told me because your first finger is on the first fret, so that would be first position. Second position on electric bass would be first finger on second fret. And third position would be first finger on third fret, and so on. Maybe. Makes sense. But being that there's no official methodology for the electric bass that I know of, when I'm saying methodology, I mean like the Simandl or Zimmerman or the Roboth for double bass, an instruction book and teacher trained in that will take you from point 0 all the way to the top. It works well with first position being first fret. But back to the back end of the bass, of the neck. It's so useful. The money notes, the money position, that's what people expect the bass to sound like. It's what soloists want to hear under their solos from the bass player. They don't want you in that high position walking things. They want to hear that low end, and it does sound good. I watch some bass players, and it's like they can't wait to get out of the low end. They want to move all around the neck, and that's cool, but they'd be walking in third position, up and thumb, and coming on back down, and that's cool. I like to do that too. But it sounds good when it's really low. Here's an F blues. This is first position on the electric. Just right there. I'm not moving my hands. I'm staying on the back end of the neck on my fretless electric. Easy. Everything I need's right there on that back end. And I'll utilize some open strings. That's good too. But everything I need is right there on the back end. Here's some walking blues. Same thing. I'm staying in first position here and just walking. I am not moving my hands. I'm just using those first 3 frets and the open strings. Everything I need. Easy. Like I said, everything's right there, everything I need. It's just as sweet on double bass. Not as many notes, though, because the instrument's bigger and the fingerboard is bigger. You want another example? Here's B flat blues. Still same thing, hanging in that so-called first position on electric bass. I could do this on upright too. Nobody would say anything because it's exactly what people want to hear. The soloist wants to hear, the singer wants to hear, the drummer wants to hear. It's so obvious you could miss it. I'm still excavating the back end of the neck. I think there are still some lines that can be brought out in the back end of the neck that I haven't brought out yet. I was reading about a classical double bassist that was taking the Dragonetti concerto. It's one of the big concertos for double bassists. And he moved some of the high parts down an octave or more. And then there was a video of him playing, and it still sounded damn good. Maybe even better in some ways. And like he says, it makes it more accessible. And then maybe later on you go grab those high parts or not. Maybe it's not for you. Or it's not for you now, but you still want to play the Dragonetti. There was yet another bass player. he took some of the Bach pieces that were being played in the higher position of double bass, and he brought them down lower. And he said they sound better over here because that's the natural sound of the instrument of the bass, is to play it in the low end. The bass resonates more right there, and that's the sound people expect to hear. And then same thing, another good idea because it's more accessible. And then later, when you've got a handle on it, you bring it up if you want to. But as he said, this lower end of the instrument is where it's at. It sounds good. It sounds right. Here's one more track. Here's the F major scale back into the instrument. Just a technical, right? Not moving my hand. Add the arpeggio. Fits beautifully. Everything functions well down there. Everything. Walking lines, scales, licks, bossa lines. You can play blue bossa without moving your hand and it fits right. I mean, there's no reason, not to really get to know that end of the neck. Speaking of methodologies, another double bass methodology, the Simandl. The Simandl method has the double basses go from half position, back into the neck, right? And he works you in scales and patterns. Then you go to first position. And then every section moves you up in half steps. All scales and exercises. It's so structurally and sequentially beautiful. I worked out of it. It's beautifully simple. The position names and numbers don't comport with the Vance and Roboth position names, but that's the only drawback. But like I said, the same book, that Simandl book, you'll see it if you look for it on one of your favorite online shops. It's a big orange book. It's a beautiful book for electric players. My first college bass instructor had me buy it for my electric playing, and we worked out of it. It's sweet, especially those first few positions, and it builds up your sight reading, and it really kind of centers you about different positions, I remember giving the D flat, A flat a real good workout. And it's perfect in a lot of ways because when I made my move to double bass, I already had the Simandl, so I was playing a lot of that before I moved over to Roboth, as a lot of my students do. But closing out, I think that area of the neck should be mined more, minds in search of ore, that you should work and think about, what can I play back here? What am I making more difficult that I can play by not moving my hand all over the place? And I'm talking about total excavation. One of them, this hit me last night when I was thinking about this, the possibility of modes. I mean, you heard me play F major. I can do E Locrian. Sits right there. I can do A Locrian. Sits right there. E Phrygian and A Phrygian sit right there. Think about it. There's a lot of possibilities just in those 4 frets in the open strings, at 20 notes on electric bass. I think it's 16 notes on upright bass. It's the same concept, though. You're just sitting there in half position on double bass, working things out, finding out where things are. Can you play all the scales there? Of course not. But you can play most of all of the scales. I'll talk to you soon.